So in our last video, we saw that Jesus weighted down with the freight with that terrible cross, was led like a lamb to the slaughter. Crowds along the way shouting, crucify him, crucify him. Women weeping along the way. He stopped and talked to the women. He said, "Don't weep for me," he said. Weep for yourselves and your children. If this is what they do to the greenwood, to the innocent, what will they do to the guilty? So he's on the way to Calvary. Now, bear in mind, Calvary was the same place where Abraham tried to sacrifice his son 1800 years earlier. Calvary was the place where Solomon's temple was built at one stage, destroyed by Herod. So, 1800 years later, God spared Abraham's son. Don't kill him. But he didn't spare his own son, but gave him up for the sake of us all. And you saw in the last video that the evening, the night before this crucifixion day, the bridegroom took the chalice and he's proposing marriage to you who are looking at this video. Check this, all of you, and drink from it. This is the cup of my blood. This is my body, which is given up for you. The husband. It's about you. So that happened on Holy Thursday. The crucifixion. On the way out, they came across a man from Cyrene, a foreigner, Simon by name, and enlisted him to carry, forced him, I'm sure, to carry the cross with Jesus. They were afraid that he was going to die along the way. All our images of the crucifixion, are kind of, they're all deodorized and without smell, made out of brass or wood or whatever, but we're talking about somebody of flesh and blood. Jesus was like us in everything except sin. So they enlisted Simon. When they had reached a place called Golgotha, the place of the skull, they say that some people say that the rock formation on Calvary looked like a skull. Do you know the way you see faces in the clouds? Well, people saw skulls. Now, the real reason that I know of it was called Golgotha was the Romans beheaded people in that area. There would have been many skulls lying around. Crucifixion was reserved for the worst possible criminals. You'll remember later on that Peter will be crucified upside down in the city of Rome. Paul, who was a Roman citizen, was beheaded. So the place of the skull, that is the place of the skull. They gave him wine to drink mixed with gall, mixed with some type of vinegar or something of that nature, which he tasted but refused to drink. Now he's not going to refuse to drink the cup of suffering, but the cup of wine mixed with gall. Maybe it was some type of anesthetic or something to ease the pain for the man to be killed. When they had finished crucifying him, they shared out his clothing by casting lots, and then sat down and stayed there, keeping guard over him. Above his head was placed the charge against him. It read, "This is Jesus, the King of the Jews." At the same time, two robbers were crucified with him, one on his right, the other on his left. Now, Jesus, the King of the Jews, the other Gospels provide the information that he wrote it in Hebrew, Latin, and Greek. Strange, isn't it? Pilate, the Roman governor, the separation of church and state, oh my. Hebrew the Jews, Greek, the Greek people, Latin, the Romans. The three civilizations of the world are present on Calvary. Jesus is dying for the whole world. About his head was placed the charge against him in dread. This is Jesus, the King of the Jews. At the same time, two robbers were crucified with him, one on his right, one on his left. You'll see these crosses sometimes that they have a crossbar and they have the upright, and then they'll have a little piece of wood like this. Some of the Greek crosses and the Orthodox crosses have a little piece of wood like this. That's to indicate the two thieves who were crucified with Jesus. Implication, the one going down is going into hell. The one is up, Jesus brings him to heaven. Today you'll be with me in paradise. The passers-by jeered at him. They shook their heads and said, "So you would destroy the temple and rebuild it in 3 days? Then save yourself, Jesus. If you are God's son, come down off that cross." The chief priests with the scribes and elders mocked him in the same way. He saved others, they said. He cannot save himself. He is the King of Israel. Let him come down from that cross now, and we will believe him. He put his trust in God. Now let God rescue him if he wants him. For he did say, "I am the Son of God." Even the robbers who were crucified with him taunted him in the same way. Now we know from another gospel that one of the robbers actually didn't taunt him. He said, "Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom." And this would be a good prayer for us who are living at the end of the ages, just in our own way, every evening. Remember me, Jesus. You have come into your kingdom. You have come into your kingdom. From the 6th hour, there was darkness over the whole land until the 9th hour. And about the 9th hour, Jesus cried out in a loud voice, "Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani," that is, my God, why have you deserted me?" It's extraordinary. How can God be deserted by God? You're looking at Jesus. Who is he? He and the Father are one. And yet the horror of the cross is so great that he experiences himself as separated from God. My God, why have you deserted me?" When some of those who stood there heard this, they said, "This man is calling on Elijah." He was the one who went up to heaven in the fiery chariot. And one of them quickly ran to get a sponge, which he dipped in vinegar, and putting it on a reed, gave it to him to drink. "Wait," said the rest of them, "and see if Elijah will come to save him." But Jesus, again crying out with a loud voice, yielded up his spirit. The other gospel puts it, he said, "Father, into your hands I commend my spirit." Now I want you to look at that, "into your hands I commend my spirit." The resurrection is actually happening at that point. The Christ, the Holy One of God, is going back to the Father. "Into your hands I commend my spirit." The resurrection, the ascension into heaven, even at that moment. "Into your hands, O Lord, I commend my spirit." The body goes into the tomb. At that, the veil of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom. The earth quaked, the rocks split, the tombs opened, and bodies of many holy men rose from the dead. And these, after his resurrection, came out of the tombs, entered the holy city, and appeared to a number of people. Meanwhile, the centurion, together with others guarding him, had seen the earthquake and all that was taking place, and they were terrified and said, "In truth, this man was the Son of God." Now, I'm going to go back a little bit and maybe stop with this. There's a strange reference here. At the moment Jesus died on the cross, Father, into your hands I commend my spirit. The veil of the temple, which was whatever, some yards or 100 feet away, don't know exactly. The veil of the temple in Jerusalem was torn in two from top to bottom. The veil was about 45 feet tall. It was 11 inches thick, and it was torn from top to bottom. A divine hand would have torn it from bottom to top. So something's going on here. That's extraordinary. At the very moment that Jesus passed behind the veil into the heavenly sanctuary, Father, into your hands I commend my spirit. On the feast of Passover, so there's two Passovers going on here. On the feast of Yom Kippur, down through the centuries, once a year, the chosen people of God, the beloved people of God, would assemble in the temple. And the tribes, and all of them, the priests would stand up and read from the book of the law, from morning until night. And the more that the people, the priests read from the book of the law, the more the people realized they had done wrong. They had broken the commandments. They had not loved their neighbors. They had not prayed to the God who loved them. And they would be doing their own mourning, the Day of Atonement. So that's the first part. Then 2 sheep or goats would be led forward. One for Azazel, the demon of the desert, and one for the Lord God of hosts. They're making up for breaking the covenant. And the priest, once a year, he'd say the sins of the people on the first sheep or goat for Azazel that's driven out into the desert. And the second lamb is slaughtered, its throat is cut, and the blood is taken in a basin. Instead of the people dying for their sins, the lamb is dying. And then the priest, dressed in vestments, with a rope attached to his foot and bells on his vestments, goes behind the veil into the Jerusalem temple, into the Holy of Holies, once a year, not with the blood of sheep and goats and heifers and all of this type of thing. And he sprinkles some of the blood on the Ark of the Covenant, and then comes out and sprinkles some on the people. Now, what's the rope about? In case he died there, inside the Holy of Holies, they would know when the bells stopped ringing on his vestments, so they'd be able to pull him out. It was just once a year the priest went behind the veil into the Holy of Holies. We'll look at this here about Jesus then. From the 6th hour there was darkness over the whole land until the 9th hour. And about the 9th hour Jesus cried out in a loud voice, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani, my God, why have you deserted me? At that, when he cried out, into your hands I commend my spirit, listen to it, the veil of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom. The earth quaked, the rocks were split, the tombs opened, and the bodies of many holy men rose from the dead. And these, after his resurrection, came out of the tombs, entered the holy city, and appeared to many of the people. So there it is. The priest goes behind the veil with the blood of a lamb, the Lamb of God. Into your hands I commend my spirit. Goes behind the veil of the heavenly sanctuary, not with the blood of sheep and goats, but with his own blood, where he makes intercession for us. Christ has died, Christ is risen, Christ will come again in glory soon.